Hello. I have officially left Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Currently in a Motel 6 in Denver. A lot has happened in the past 2 days. Probably some of the scariest shit that's ever happened in my life. I'm safe now. I'm in a good place. But I'm just gonna go over everything. So about for the past year, I've been wanting to escape Florida for political reasons, uh, for I don't like the weather there. I don't like the people there. I wanted something completely different. I originally wanted to move to Chicago. I applied to a bunch of different jobs there. Nothing worked. Um, I my plan B, and I heard this from this one YouTuber. I will not mention the name because I generally believe he's a good guy, but what I guess what worked for him is not working. It did not work for me, and I'm going to talk about it. It's the concept of company housing, and I'm going to talk more about it. But before I do, I'm gonna just keep going over the story. Anyway, I heard about company housing where the company you work for provides housing for you. Generally, uh, or normally, company housing jobs are usually in very remote areas. I found one that was in a big town with good public transportation and walkability. So I decided to go for it. It was in Colorado, Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and I went for it. Now, I will say, after I got accepted for the job, and I will say after that, um, took this personality test for housing. I said I was quiet, I have a cat, all that good stuff. But I realized the biggest mistake I made on that test, and it's not, I was very naive at the time. I just wanted to get in somewhere, and I made it sound like the housing fills up fast and you might not get a spot. So I picked I was okay living with former criminals. Right there, biggest mistake I made. I mean, the whole thing is a mistake, but it's a big fucking mistake. I mean, not leaving Florida. I love Colorado. I love Colorado more than Florida. But that part was the mistake. Got to. Anyways, I moved all my stuff, flew over after I graduated, uh, moved into housing after 2 days in that. And the place was dirty as hell when I got in. I was not expecting that because when I took the tutorial about housing online, it made it sound like it was very strict. There was weekly checks on each place, so I was expecting it to be clean, and if you do something wrong, you get kicked out of there. But that was not the case. It was the exact opposite. The place was dirty, a big mess. Anyways, I got into bed, and honestly, um, I thought about leaving. What I did was I went back to the housing office and I requested I get a much cleaner place, and they gave me a couple different places to check, and they were all worse. So I was like, okay, I'm just stuck in this place. I'm just gonna try to stick it out. I met my roommates, and they all seemed to be nice at first to me. Um, they smoked weed a lot. They did a lot of drugs. Place smelled horrible when they did all that stuff, and um, it was very stressful. And they just blasted rap music all night long. It was horrible. Um, Started working the job. The job itself had extremely long hours. I would work 10-hour shifts, sometimes 11 and 12, because we were open 10 to 8. And 8 was when the restaurant closed, so they always need me to work longer. I bust tables. I cleaned tables off all day. It was horrible. And there was times I just started thinking, what if I just go live with my dad or something like that? And I'm still considering it, but I'm not willing to give up yet. And I say that in the sense that I'm going to try to live in Denver now, not company housing. I'm gonna have my own place now. Hopefully, if I get that figured out. If I don't, oh well. I'm gonna have to go back to Florida. Anyways, um, yeah, my friends found out about my situation. I was telling them about it, and uh, they weren't happy with it. They didn't like it, so most of them just stopped talking to me. So now it's like I have less friends, but at the same time, even though I have less friends, I have more friends, which sounds strange, but I won't elaborate. Anyways, probably the best thing that happened to me is while I was working my job, I made friends with an associate, and honestly, we've become really good friends. In fact, she just drove me all the way from Steamboat to here, so I didn't have to make a 6 hour journey on the bus, which is awesome. Extremely nice person. Um, Somebody I definitely want to hang out with in the future. I that probably that's if if that friendship lasts for a lifetime, you know, I I won't regret moving over there, even despite all the shit I went through. At least I got through it. Anyways, let's get back to the story. So after 3 days staying, so okay, no, one. So what I realized is the room I was staying in was dirty. The other room was not. There's two bedrooms. 6 people live in the place. In one of the rooms, this one guy would just throw all his stuff in a corner, and he had no organization at all. And when I got to meet him, I mean, he was a nice guy, but I started seeing red flags. He was talking about if we ever get in a fight someday, like that's what he would say. It's like try to make sure to kill me when I'm alive. Don't do it in my sleep. And I'm like, what the fuck? But I brushed it off. I should not have brushed it off, but I brushed it off. Um, 2, 3 days later, I found out that he told me that he stabbed a previous roommate. And he never told me why, and I bet there's a reason why. And even worse, I met the roommate he stabbed, who doesn't live there anymore, obviously, in a different unit. And he seemed like a completely normal individual, much normal than this guy. Anyway, continuing onward. Okay, what happened recently? So I was there was another roommate in the room with us, and there was him. And this is somewhat blurry in my mind because I don't like remembering it. It's probably something after this I want to forget. But the roommate was said something along the lines of they were going back and forth, and she said, "Oh, I know your social security. I know where your parents live." And he, uh, he took offense to that, and so she walked out of there. And then that roommate started talking to me, apparently venting to me. He's like, you know what? I could just chop her up into little pieces. And even then, in the moment, I was kind of brushing it off. I was like, you do have that possibility, but what I would do is I would just talk it out. But he just seemed to get angrier and angrier, and I could just kind of stop talking about it. But anyway, I never thing about me is I never realized how horrible something is until later on. And the next morning I woke up, took a shower. It just processed in my mind the how intense those words are and how horrible and disgusting those words are. And I realized in that moment there, I need to get the fuck out of there. Anyways, into work that day. That was yesterday actually. I was extremely stressed out, and I was telling my associates about it. And they're like, "Oh, you should tell the boss." So I told my boss about the situation, and apparently he um, was said he'll get that guy kicked out of there. So I thought it's like, okay, that's amazing. Anyways, I get back to my place, and that guy told me, he said, just play it cool when you get back. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll play it cool. I'm just gonna, you know, uh, act like I never did any of that. Like I didn't know anything about that. Anyways, I got back, and that guy's like, "Do you feel uncomfortable around me?" And I was like, I just kind of ignored it, brushed it off, and anyways, I was telling my other roommates, I was like, yeah, I told them about what had happened. As that girl roommate who he said the thing about, and she's like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that. That's a dangerous game." And I was like, "Fuck no, I'm getting my ass out. No, 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 no. Fuck no." Anyways, uh, round that guy got back, and he started like being extremely like scary. Like he was like staring at me and like look in the doorway, and like one of the cats, not my cat, the other cat ran out, and I locked the door because I was scared, and I was like, and then he got me. He's like, let me back, let me in, let me the fuck in. This is my place. And I told him, I was like, why don't you get one of the other roommates? He's like, this is my fucking place. And then uh, it was something along the lines of that. It wasn't those exact words. Anyways, he said, Eric, so okay. Uh, one of the, yeah. So I went to one of the other roommates was apparently home, so I let him in, and he got like all like, and he like in front of me, and it was scary. I honestly kind of scared for my life, but I knew there was another roommate home, so I knew it wasn't like super. It wasn't in super danger, but I wanted to get out of there that night. But the problem with Steamboat Springs is there's no like cheap motel. There's no Motel Sixes there. It's a small city, so I kind of just had to stay there the night. I had no other place to stay. Um, I couldn't stay in that. Regarding the one friend I made, the really good friend, she did offer me to stay with her, but her place that she has currently is owned by her parents, and yeah, her parents still wanted other people staying there, so that's a dead end. I would have loved to stay in Steamboat Springs though if I didn't have to live in company housing. It's a beautiful town. I highly recommend Visiting it. I'm not saying not to go there just because I had a horrible experience. You know what? I would even go back there. I would rather visit Steamboat Springs than fucking Broward County any day. I have no idea what place I'm in currently. It's like just moved here, but we will see. Anyway, to finish the story, uh, I'm not gonna go over the words that he told me. I don't like to, you know, remember stuff like that. Um, but anyway, I slept outside in the living room, and the other good thing is there was a bunch of other people there. My One of my other roommates had friends over, so I just slept in there with them. But I woke up at 3 a.m. I didn't have a blanket on. I was extremely cold, and so I decided I'm gonna go back to my room. It's one of those, midnight decisions where you really don't think about it. So I went up to bed and I started hearing like knocking coming from the other side of the wall and like banging. And then I heard something along the line like, Jake, it's all your fault. That scared the shit out of me. I got out of bed, went back to the living room, and just stood there awake, heart racing. The good part about that was that was actually not the guy who, was the one I've been talking about. This was actually one of my roommate's friends, and he apparently just got super drunk and what I thought was Jake was actually the other roommate's name, which I'm not going to mention, but it sounds like my name. So, probably most terrifying part of the night, but at least it, resolved itself. Anyway, woke up this morning, got all my bags and shit, and got the fuck out of there with my friend, and now I'm back in the Denver area, and I am safe. I That's pretty much it. Moral of the story is, at least from my experience, I would highly not recommend company housing unless you have a room to yourself. Because the place I was in was a six-person unit and three-person in each. And if one of those persons is a person is crazy, it ruins the experience. And at least at the place I was housing was stupid. They don't really know who to, they just throw you in with random people, basically, from what I heard from other people. They don't really know what they're doing. Besides, when it comes to, are you comfortable with living with a criminal? So I felt like I was more so, rather put into a place that was meant for me. I was more so just one of those few people who answered that question the wrong way, and they're like, "Oh, perfect, he's a perfect fit. We'll just throw him in here." And you know, that's it's a horrible, but it's probably true. But again, I would highly not recommend company housing, at least in my experience. Do not, never, and I'll tell you the place because I don't care. Never, ever, ever, unless you're a party animal, move into the ponds in Steamboat Springs, and then don't ever fucking move there. That place is a shit show. I'm never going back there. Do never fucking move there. Mistake? Hell yeah. Have I learned a lot? Yes. Signing off. Hotel.